It was in the summer of 2010 that I purchased all WrestleManias from a seller in Mumbai, India, and I watched them over the course of the next 2 months. I've had quite a fascination with the show of shows, the grandest stage of them all, since I watched my very first WrestleMania in 2003, WrestleMania 19, that was headlined by Brock Lesnar vs Kurt Angle for the WWE Championship. Now that I have an extensive knowledge of the show of shows, I decided to play a little game in which I'll try to name all the main events of WrestleManias 1 to 40 as quickly as possible. So let's start the timer, and here it goes. Hogan Mr. T vs Roddy Piper, Paul Orndorff, Hogan vs King Kong Bundy, Hogan vs Andre the Giant, Ted DiBiase vs Randy Savage, Hogan vs Randy Savage, Hogan vs Ultimate Warrior, Hogan vs Sergeant Slaughter, Hogan vs Psycho Sid, Hogan vs Yokozuna, Yokozuna vs Bret Hart, Lawrence Taylor vs Bam Bam Bigelow, Shawn Michaels vs Bret Hart, Undertaker vs Sid Justice, Shawn Michaels vs Stone Cold, Stone Cold vs Rock, Triple H vs Big Show vs Mick Foley vs Rock, Rock vs Stone Cold, Triple H vs Chris Jericho, Brock Lesnar vs Kurt Angle, Triple H vs Chris Benoit vs Shawn Michaels, Triple H vs Batista, Triple H vs John Cena, John Cena vs Shawn Michaels, Undertaker vs Edge, Triple H vs Randy Orton, Shawn Michaels vs Undertaker, John Cena vs Miz, John Cena vs Rock, John Cena vs Rock, Daniel Bryan vs Batista vs Randy Orton, Roman Reigns vs Seth Rollins vs Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns vs Triple H, Roman Reigns vs Undertaker, Roman Reigns vs Brock Lesnar, Becky Lynch vs Charlotte Flair vs Ronda Rousey, Drew McIntyre vs Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns vs Edge vs Daniel Bryan, Roman Reigns vs Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns vs Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns vs Cody Rhodes. You can see this was the time I took to name all the WrestleMania main events from 1 to 40, from 1985 to 2024. How many WrestleMania main events can you name? Drop your comments in the comment section below and let me know.